Let's go.
Let's go. Good morning and welcome to Daf Yomi. This morning we are on page 114, Daf Kuf Yud Daled of Maseches Shabbat. So to the thousands watching live on Zoom, to the millions watching on YouTube, welcome one and all as we plow through today's Daf. We're going to actually pick it up at the bottom of Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, at the bottom of 113b. And we're just going to get it live for you now on the screen. So let us know when you can see it. And we will get started. Vivaldi tab. Here we go. It should be coming up for you now. So we are picking it up, as I said, at the bottom of 113b. And it's really cool because now there's going to be lots of different types of exciting things coming up this week. I've had a sneak preview of some of the things that we'll be seeing this week, but for today we start off talking about clothes. What better thing to start off talking about on a Sunday morning? We're going to be talking about clothes. And specifically, we are going to be trying to work out a pasuk, which we will see in a moment. The pasuk comes from Isaiah, and what they are going to be piecing together is something to do with clothes. Something to do with clothes. So we're going to be trying to work out, does the word tachat in the verse that we will see momentarily, does that mean underneath or does it mean instead of? And does kavod, which we would normally translate as honor, in the context of the verse, does it mean honor or does it mean a body or does it mean clothing? And the reason why this is all going to be talking, why they're going to be talking about this, is because we're going to be talking about clothing of a Talmid Chacham, of a Torah scholar, and how much care a Torah scholar should take to remain presentable. And this is going to lead us through to the end of the 15th perek, the 15th chapter. We're going to define who has the status of a Talmid Chacham. We're going to have some parenthetical discussions about Yom Kippur and leftover fats and bringing voluntary sacrifices on Yom Kippur. We're going to be touching on returning lost objects. So it's an all-rounder today. So as I said, we start off with a verse in Isaiah. And the reason why is because earlier Rabbi Yochanan had been talking about his clothes and had been calling his clothes his honor. So the pasuk that we start off with, chapter 10, verse 16 in the book of Isaiah, I'll read it first in the English that we have here. Therefore, the Lord of hosts, will send leanness to his fat ones, and under his honor he will burn a burning like a burning fire. So the words in Hebrew, Tachat kavado yakad yekad. Tachat kavado yekad yekod kikod eish. So the Gemara learns like this. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, the Tachat kavodo. Rabbi Yochanan understands it in the following way: under his honor, v'lo kavodo mamash. That means that bodies can get burnt, meaning that underneath kavodo, he understands honor to mean clothing. So underneath the clothing, the bodies will be burnt. So this is in relation to the army of Sancheriv, which means that the bodies of the soldiers will be burnt, but there will be a miracle that the garments will not be burnt. So what we're learning out from here is that this word kavod is related to clothing. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan l'taimeh. This goes in accordance with Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. The Rabbi Yochanan kari l'manei machvudusi. He calls his clothing his honor. So there is a strong correlation, therefore, between the honor that one gives off and the image that one gives off from the clothes that they wear. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, v'tachas kavodo, under his honor, means Tachas kavodo mamish, in place of his honor. Literally. That is what Rabbi Elazar, that's how he understands what the honor means. Meaning that their bodies would burn in the context of this verse, because it's the things underneath, the bodies would burn, because he understands under his honor to mean in place of his honor. So Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Tachas Kavodo, when he sees this pasuk, he understands this as under a person's body. So we've so far had one person who's understood kavod to mean clothing, one person who's understood kavod to mean body, but tachat means instead of, and one person to be to understand it as under his body, and under his body, therefore, is this interpretation that we're seeing now, and that means kasreifas b'nei Aharon, and that relates to the burning of the sons of Aaron, Nadav and Avihu, who brought sacrifices in the wrong way, and we learn from that malahalan sreifas neshama v'guf kayam, just like over there, the bodies of Nadav and Avihu remained intact, but their souls were burnt. So to here, the burning of the Assyrian soldiers means the army of Sancherib means that their souls burnt, but their bodies remained intact. And in that context, then we then start talking about the clothing of Torah scholars, and then we pick up this daf of today of Kuf Yud Daled. So Amar Rabbi Acha bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Acha bar Abba said that Rabbi Yochanan said, Minay l'shinui begadim min hatara. From where do we know that one should change their clothes? From where do we know that it is a display of honor? Shene'emar ufashat es begadav v'lavash begadim acherim. We learn it from Aaron HaKohen, because he changed his garments. As the pasuk says, he will remove his clothes and put on other clothes when it comes to different types of services performed in the Mishkan and in the temple. V'tana devei Rabbi Yishmael, and the Academy of Rabbi Yishmael taught, Lemedcha Torah derech eretz. The Torah is coming to teach us etiquette, it's coming to teach us derech eretz. Begadim shabishal behen kadei l'rabbo, al yimzod behen kos l'rabbo. The clothing that you've used to prepare the food for your master, you should not wear when you are pouring the cup for your master. Meaning, what you're doing backstage in preparation might require one uniform, one set of clothes. And when you are front of house and serving Hashem in a very visible way, so to speak, then a different uniform, a smarter uniform, would be required. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Ganaihu l'talmid chacham sheyetze b'minalim ha'matulaim lashuk. He said that it is a great disgrace for a Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, to go out to the marketplace wearing shoes that are all patched up. The Gemara asks, so Rabbi Acha bar Chanina nafik. But Rabbi Acha bar Chanina, he was a Talmid Chacham, and he went out with patched up shoes. Rabbi Acha bar Rav Nachman, Rabbi Acha, the son of Rav Nachman, said, B'teloi al gabe teloi. We're talking about seriously patched up shoes over here. We're talking about where patches upon patches, where it's come to the point where really you need to just throw those out and get yourself a new pair. Rabbi Va'amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Talmid Chacham shenimsa Rabbav va'al begado chayav misa. Any Torah scholar who has a stain on his clothes is chayav misa, is liable to the death penalty. Rashi says the reason for that is because a person needs to appreciate how important they are and the fact that they represent the Torah. And anybody who sees them with stains on their clothing could be put those rabbis in disdain, and in so doing put the whole Torah and Hashem in disdain. So it could be a big chilul Hashem for somebody to go out with a stain on their clothing. Shneimar kol misonai ahavu maves. Kol Sanai Havu Mavis means that all those who hate me love death. To which the rabbis say, Al Tikrein Sanai Ela Masniai. Don't read this just as those who hate me, but you can read that also as those who cause me to be hated, meaning that they cause people to hate Hashem on account of the stains on their clothes, because people look at them and they think, ugh, those dirty rabbis. Ugh, wouldn't want to be part of them. What a disgrace to the Jewish people they are. So if that doesn't strike chords with us nowadays, then it should do. Ravina Amar, Ravina says that Reved Itma, this is actually talking not about fat stains on their clothing, rather different types of stains. One interpretation of these types of stains, it says blood stains on the screen over there, but I have written here stains of keri, stains of their, to use polite language, stains of their seed. Velo pligi, but they don't necessarily disagree with each other. Ha biglima, ha bilgusha. One is talking about overgarments and one is talking about undergarments, where overgarments one should be careful not to have any grease stains, any food stains on them. Ha bilgusha, with their undergarments, then it would be a disgrace to go out with any other kind of stains on those as well. Continues the Gemara. Another statement of Rav Chia bar Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. What was the verse talking about when it said, as my servant Yeshaya went naked and barefoot? We just said they have to be wearing shoes. So what does this mean? So, begadim beluim, sorry, thank you. Aram, that's right. So we have the verse that says Aram vayachaf. So what do those words mean? Aram means begadim beluim. It means that he didn't go out naked. It just means that he wore tattered clothing. Vayachaf doesn't mean that he walked out barefoot, but it means baminalim hamatulayim. It means that he walked with patched shoes. So that's what that verse was coming to mean. So these are extremely important levels for everyone to be on. But in particular, the level of Chilul Hashem that can be caused by Talmidei Chachamim walking out in this way is one that one should be extremely wary of. Tan Hasan. We learned in a Mishnah over there, Rabav al Hamardeya Chotzeitz. We've learned that a stain that can be found on a donkey saddle can create a chatzitza. So this is in relation to a donkey saddle which has become impure, and it needs to be put into a mikveh to achieve purity. But we're taught with all types of purity that you're not allowed to have anything that creates a barrier between the water of the mikveh and the surface of the thing that's being immersed. So we probably know this in relation to when women go to the mikveh, that they have to make sure that their bodies are completely free of anything that could create a barrier between the water and the surface of the body. But that applies also to other items when they would have been immersed as well. So when we tovel our pots and pans in the mikveh, when we buy new dishes, so we have to make sure that things like the labels are all removed before we immerse them, because there's not supposed to be anything that gets in the way between the water and the surface of the pots and pans and the dishes. So we're talking over here about a donkey saddle needing to be immersed, and what it's telling us is as follows, that a stain on the surface of the saddle will create a chatzitza. Okay? Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel omer ad ke'isa ha'italki. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says that this is only if the stain is a big stain, the size of an Italian Isar coin, but not if it's smaller, because if it's smaller, then it's really very, very insignificant, and people wouldn't be so strict and careful about grease stains that are very, very small. And so when we talk about things creating a barrier for the mikveh, we're only really talking about stains that are noticeable, sizable, people will care about them, people wouldn't want to be seen in public with them. So that's why Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel has a slightly different size. And the truth is that with clothes, it's not going to create a chatzitza. if the stain is only on one side, because people don't really care about that. But mishneit dadin chotetz. But if it had soaked through and you could see it on both sides, then it would create this chatzitza, because then people really would be makpid on it. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishum Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Yishmael, Af mitzad echad chotetz. Rabbi Yehuda says that Rabbi Yishmael would say that it creates a chatzitza even on one side, because people should be really strict about the stains, even if they're only on one side. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish and Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish asked Rabbi Chanina the following question: Mardas, this saddle, mitzad echad or mishnei tzadid? What do you think? Should it be a stain on one side, or should it be a stain on two sides before we say that it creates a chatzitza? Amar lei, so he responded to him, Zula Shamati. I haven't necessarily heard an answer to this question directly, but Kayotse Bashamati, but I have heard a similar question being asked on a similar topic, and I believe that the same would apply. Ditnan, there's a Mishnah that says, Rabbi Yossi Omer shel banai mitzad echad v'shel bur mishnei tzadim. Rabbi Yossi says that when it comes to the clothes of a banai, which we'll see what that means in a minute. What does it say on the screen here? Yeah, a garment belonging to builders is going to be a problem if it has a stain on one side. V'shel bur, someone who is quite an unlearned, uncouth individual, mishnei tzadin, and it talks about the chatzitza being created if the stain is on both sides. And we wouldn't say that a donkey saddle is any more important than a item of clothing from an haaretz, from an unlearned person. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi would say that at the very least it should be on two sides for this donkey saddle, because why would you apply a different level of scrutiny for a donkey saddle than you would for clothes of a non-Talmid Chacham? And the reason why I say non-Talmid Chacham is because the very next question in the Gemara is, my Banayin. What is this word Banayin that we had just mentioned? And Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, these are actually Torah scholars who are involved in the building of the world all of their days. Non-stop building. And so now we have some statements by Rabbi Yochanan to really help us flesh out and understand what a Torah scholar is and how they would get described and how they get differential treatment in certain areas. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, there's an interesting rule. When it comes to returning lost objects, we might be familiar that one should only return a lost object if it has a siman on it. It has a clear indication of ownership. There's an exception to that. A Talmid Chacham who tells you that that item belongs to them, we're taught that you should trust them. But how do you know who's a Talmid Chacham? What is the classification of a Talmid Chacham who, if he were to say, oh yeah, that's mine, you should return it to them? Or not just that, but if you look at it, it goes, oh, that definitely belongs to Rabbi such and such. So how do I know that I have to get it back to him? So Rabbi Yochanan says, this is a person who is constantly making sure that his clothes are the right way round. Person who makes sure that his upper garment is turned inward so that the stitches are not facing outwards. So if a person does that, that means that they are extremely careful with the way they look, and that is how Rabbi Yochanan would differentiate between Talmidei Chachamim and other individuals. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ezehu Talmid Chacham shemamanin oso parnes ala tzibur. How do we classify Talmid Chacham in order that we can appoint him as the leader over the community? And he answers, Zeh sheshoalin oso davar halacha b'chol makom v'omer. This is a person who, if you were to come to them with any question in halacha from any place, they would be able to give you the answer. And even with Maseches Kala, which is a very underused, underappreciated Masechta, doesn't even appear in the Gemara. It's a series, I believe, of Baristas, and so they should even be an expert in that before they are appointed over a city, which is why it might be some time before I would get appointed as a leader of a community. Rabbi Yochanan says, how would you classify a Talmid Chacham such that the people of the city would be instructed, commanded to do his work for him? Because we really can't let him take time off from his learning to attend to trivial matters. We would make sure that there are people in the city who do those things for him. But how would you classify such a Talmid Chacham? And the Rabbi Yochanan answers, this would be a person who is constantly leaving his own matters aside and immersing fully in the needs of Shamayim, the needs of the community, the needs of those around him. So that is how Rabbi Yochanan would classify. But this would only really apply to making sure that he's got enough food to eat and things like that. But this doesn't necessarily extend to matters far beyond that. Rabbi Yochanan says, what is a Talmid Chacham? This is a person who could be asked any question on halacha and he will know the answer. What practical relevance, what practical consequence is there to this question? It has ramifications for appointing, or what kind of position you would appoint this Rav to. If he had proficiency in one single tractate, one area of halacha, then he would be appointed as the leader in his place. If he had proficiency in all areas of learning, and he was an expert in everything, then you would appoint him to the head of the yeshiva. I guess nowadays the modern day equivalent was, if they have proficiency in a few areas, they become the Rav of the shul, and if they had much wider proficiency, they could end up being one of the dayanim on the Beis Din. Okie dokie. So, if you remember a few lines ago, Rabbi Yossi had told us that this word banayin means, Rabbi Yochanan had told us that this word banayin means Talmidei Chachamim. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, Elu Kalim ha'aluyayirin habayim b'medina sayam. That this word banayin actually refers to the very special bathrobes or the clothes of the people who worked in the bathhouses, where these clothes were brought from overseas, and they were extremely special. And as you can see here, the stains would be apparent on this clothing, and the people in charge of these bathhouses would be meticulous in their appearance, and that is what that word banayin refers to. And if you remember the context, it was that if there was even a stain on one side, they would be very, very cautious about wearing such clothes, and therefore it would create a chatzitza if they needed to go into the mikveh with it. So the Gemara asks as follows: this would seem to indicate that these clothes are white, because very meticulous about appearance, stains readily visible on one side. So that's the Gemara's first presumption. But didn't Rabbi Yanai say to his sons, Banai, please kids, Altik Baruni, lo b'keim levanim, lo b'keim shecharim. Please don't bury me in white clothes, and please don't bury me in black clothes, white shrouds and black shrouds. Levanim shema lo ezker. Don't bury me in white shrouds, just in case I'm not on as high a level as I thought I was. And I will look like a chassan amongst mourners, meaning I'll really stand out in Shamayim if you've been so presumptuous to think that I was extremely righteous. And and don't dress me in black shrouds in case I look like a mourner amongst chassanim, amongst bridegrooms, in case I go up to heaven and because I'm actually really righteous, but I'm wearing black clothing, and so I look silly. So he didn't want to wear white clothing in case he ended up down there amongst black clothing, and he didn't want to wear black clothing in case he ended up there and everyone was wearing white. Rather, dress me in these garments that these bathhouse attendants would wear, to which the Gemara concludes, this must mean that they must be red garments, or at least garments of a different colour, so they wouldn't be white garments. Lo kashya, doesn't have to be a contradiction. Habeglimi, habelevushi. We're talking about outer garments and undergarments. So they might have worn white garments underneath and red garments on the top, and therefore there doesn't have to be a contradiction. Moving on, we turn to the next part of the Mishnah, where Rabbi Yishmael had said, Mekalfin, let's just find the Mishnah, Rabbi Yishmael, Mekalfin es hakelim u'masin es hamitos miyom ha'kippurim l'Shabbos. One is allowed to fold sheets and arrange beds on the day of Yom Kippur in preparation for Shabbos. And then it continues, V'chel ve'Shabbos karevin b'yom ha'kippurim, avalot shel yom ha'kippurim b'Shabbos. You'd be allowed to bring up the fats of Shabbos on Yom Kippur, but you wouldn't be allowed to bring up anything from Yom Kippur on Shabbos. Okay, Tana Rabbanan, we learn in the Baraisa, Olas Shabbos b'Shabbos. The verse says, the burnt offering of Shabbos on its Shabbos. So that implies, this pasuk implies that there is something from Shabbos which may be brought on another day, which is also called Shabbos. And this creates some conclusion. So, Tana Rabbanan, Olas Shabbos b'Shabbos. Offering the olas of Shabbos, the burnt offerings of Shabbos, on its Shabbos. Limed al chelvei Shabbos shekrivim b'Yom Kippurim. This would seem to teach us about facts of Shabbos that can be brought on Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is also known as a day of Shabbos. Yachol af shel Yom Kippurim b'Shabbos. So I might come to think that I can bring sacrifices from Yom Kippur on the day of Shabbos. Talmud Lomar b'Shabboso. The pasuk teaches us on its Shabbos, Divrei Rabbi Yishmael, but not on Yom Kippur. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Olas Shabbos v'Shabboso. What does it mean? Limed al chevei Shabbos shekaruvim b'Yom Tov. This talks about offering up the fats of Shabbos that can be brought on Yom Tov. Yachol af b'Yom Kippurim. I might have thought that it could even be brought up on Yom Kippur, if Yom Kippur was coming the day after Shabbos. Talmud Lomar b'Shabboso. It comes to teach me that on its Shabbos and not on a different Shabbos, not on Yom Kippur. So when it comes to Rabbi Yishmael, what you find is the Darim v'Nadav is created by Yom Tov, that voluntary sacrifices can be brought on Yom Tov. And so when you needed this verse of Olas Shabbos b'Shabboso, it was coming to teach us that you can bring it on Yom Kippur. The Divrei Rabbi Akiva, Nadarim and Nadavas ain't craving Yom Tov. But according to Rabbi Akiva, voluntary sacrifices cannot be brought on Yom Tov. And so this verse was needed to be able to permit bringing sacrifices on Yom Tov, but therefore on Yom Kippur it would be prohibited. As we turn the page, we see Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera says, Ki avina b'Bavel hava amriha. When I was in Bavel, they said the following. Titania, it's taught in the Baraisa. So Yom Kippurim shechal Erev Shabbos, that Yom Kippur that falls on Erev Shabbos, lo hayu token. They would not blow the shofar as they did before Shabbos normally to inform everyone about the start of Shabbos, of Motzai Shabbos. And if Yom Kippur was coming on Saturday night, then lo hayu mavdilin. They would not do Havdalah, because Shabbos is like Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is like Shabbos. There is a level of similarity there, a level of holiness, that means that it would not be anything to separate between. Normally we say Hamavdil ben Kodesh l'Chol. We go from Kodesh of Shabbos to Chol of weekday. Here we're going Kodesh l'Kodesh, so they would not make a Havdalah in that way. And he said that when he was in Bavel, Divrei HaKolhi, this was the opinion of everyone. Ki salikna lahasam, but when I left Bavel and I came to Eretz Yisrael, Ashkechise liYehuda Berei Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, I found that Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, Diyasiv Ka'amar, Rabbi Akivahi. I found that he would sit and he would expound this teaching in accordance with Rabbi Akiva, who equates the sanctity of Shabbos to Yom Kippur, and the Rabbi Yishmael, because if it was like Rabbi Yishmael, Kevan Amachel ve Shabbos Karevin b'Yom Kippurim, Liskaki Heichi Delahave Yadi Dechavi Shabbos Karevin b'Yom Kippurim. Because if you were to say that it was in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael, then since Rabbi Yishmael says that fats from Shabbos are offered on Yom Kippur, then you would think that they should sound the shofar so that the the Kohanim will know that they can transition and they can still bring these fats from Shabbos and they can still bring them on Yom Kippur. But Amina lei ana Kohanim's reasoning. But I would say that actually Kohanim don't need to be given this shofar blast as an indication because they are very vigilant, and since they're so vigilant, they can be trusted to know that they're allowed to bring these fats, and therefore there would be no need to sound the shofar. Amalei Mar Kashisha Bareid Rav Chisda Rav Ashi. Mar Kashisha, the son of Rav Chisda, said to Rav Ashi, Mi Amrinan Kohanim's reason. Do we really say that Kohanim are so vigilant in this regard? But none. But we have a Mishnah, Shalosh Lahavti Lesa Amim Melacha, that we sound 3 shofar blasts to indicate to people on a Friday afternoon before Shabbos. 3 shofar blasts to tell the Jewish people to stop working. Shalosh Lahavdil Ben Kodesh Lachol. And we would also blow 3 more to indicate a difference between Kodesh and Chol as Havdalah. Kada Amar Abaye, Lisha Amar. Yeah. So that's the question that we have. So surely over there we're blowing for the sake of the Kohanim. But you've just said that they are extremely vigilant. So why then are we blowing the shofar? So the answer is Kada Amar Abaye. Just like Abaye says in relation to something else, another area which was a kind of like a candelabra or chandelier which was put into the Beis Hamikdash that would show when the sun was up. But Abaye says that wasn't for the Kohanim, that was for Lishar Amad Yerushalayim. That was for the rest of the people in Yerushalayim. They would see the great light coming from the temple, they would know that it is daylight. But the Kohanim would know this anyway because they are vigilant. Hachanami, so too over here when it comes to these shofar blasts, we would say like Abaye, Lishar Amad Yerushalayim. This is for the sake of the rest of the people in Yerushalayim, that they should know when Shabbos is coming or when Shabbos is ending, but actually the Kohanim would know this because they are vigilant. So the Gemara asks, V'leska, we should blow the shofar. Why does it keep moving around so sharp? There we go. Let them sound the shofar. Maybe we should blow a shofar on Shabbos that's leading into Yom Kippur so that people know they're allowed to start preparing vegetables. Because even though normally you wouldn't be allowed to prepare things from on Shabbos for after Shabbos, or you wouldn't be able to prepare things on Yom Kippur for after Yom Kippur, but there comes a certain point, on Yom Kippur, in the late afternoon, where you would be allowed to prepare food. So maybe we should sound the shofar so that people would know that at this late stage on Yom Kippur, you are allowed to start preparing vegetables and all those kinds of things. So Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says, Lefisha ein doichin shavus lahartin. Rabbi Yosef said this is because we do not override a shavus, a rabbinic prohibition, in order to permit something to be done which otherwise would not have been done. So even though you can try, but yeah, go on.
I was under the impression that Yom Kippur cannot be on a Friday or a Sunday.
But once upon a time it could be.
Okay. Once upon a time because they had fixed the calendar at this point.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for raising that. That is an excellent observation. Astute observation. Yes, once upon a time when this when it was purely done by people seeing the moon and setting Rosh Chodesh, so things could have fallen on different days. Okie dokie. So Rav Yosef says that we wouldn't blow the shofar in order to indicate that this vegetable preparation can be done because we wouldn't override a rabbinic prohibition in order to permit an action. So blowing the shofar on Shabbos is prohibited by rabbinic law on Shabbos and Yom Kippur, and so we wouldn't override this prohibition just so that people would know that they are allowed to do something that they are allowed to do at that point in the day. Rav Sheisha Bered Rav Idi Omar, Rav Sheisha, the son of Rav Idi, said, Shavus Karova Hetiru, that the sages would permit it if it was something they were allowed to do immediately. but shavus rechoka lahitiru. But they wouldn't override a rabbinic prohibition for something that was going to happen far later on or significantly later on. The Gemara asks, would they override in order to override a rabbinic prohibition in order to permit something with immediate effect? V'hatnan, but we have a Mishnah, Yom Tov shechal yoser Shabbos, token v'lo mavdilin, that if Yom Tov was falling on a Friday, that they would blow the shofar and would not do Havdalah. Motzoi Shabbos, but if something was going to be, if Yom Tov was going to be after Shabbos, Mavdilin v'lo token, and they wouldn't blow the shofar. So how can we say, oh, I haven't scrolled down over there. So how can we say that they would override a rabbinic prohibition to inform people of something that they'd be allowed to do now? They didn't, because they didn't blow the shofar on Shabbos leading into Yom Tov. We should blow the shofar so that people know that they're allowed to start doing things like shechita in preparation for the oncoming festival. Ella mechavarta k'd Rav Yosef. Really, we should say then that that we explain it like Rav Yosef, who says that we do not override a rabbinic prohibition in order to permit something. Amar Rabbi Zera, Amar Rav Huna. Rabbi Zera said in the name of Rav Huna, Va'amri la. Some say Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Rav Huna. Some say it was Rabbi Abba who said in the name of Rav Huna, Yom Kippurim shechal yos b'Shabbos asu b'knivas yerek. In any event, Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbos, it's forbidden to prepare your vegetables. Amar Rav Mana said, Tana minay leYom Kippur. He taught it in a different way. Minay leYom Kippurim shechal yos b'Shabbos asu b'knivas yerek. From where do we know that if Yom Kippur is falling on Shabbos that it's forbidden to prepare the vegetables? Talmud Lomar Shabbason Shavus. You must rest. Lamai. What is this referring to? You must rest. So he asks as follows: if you want to say that this is referring to you have to rest and abstain from labor, from malacha, then we've got a pasuk relating to Yom Kippur already. It says you can't do any malacha. Rather, it must refer to things like preparing vegetables, trimming vegetables, which is not a full-fledged malacha. Shmamina. Yeah, that is a fair. That is a fair explanation, the Gemara concludes. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia says in the name, Rabbi Chia bar Abba says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Yom Kippurim shechali yos b'Shabbos muta b'knivas yerek. That Yom Kippur, which falls on Shabbos, you're allowed to wash and prepare and trim these vegetables. Meisvei, we have a challenge. From where do we know that on Yom Kippur, which falls on Shabbos, that you're not allowed to prepare these vegetables? Talmud Lomar Shabbason Shabbos. We've just learned this. We learned in the pasuk that you must rest. Lamai. To what does this refer? Ileima lemalacha. If you want to say that it's malacha, v'haksiv lo sasecha malacha. Then we've said that that you're not allowed to do any malacha. Ella lav b'knivas yerek. So rather, would we not say that this refers to trimming vegetables? That this should be prohibited. Lo leolam lemalacha v'lavo aleha ba'asei v'lo sasei. So according to this flow of the Gemara, it doesn't actually refer to trimming vegetables. It says, where is it? It does refer to malacha, and we're on this final line here. But it comes to teach you that a person who does malacha is going to violate both a positive mitzvah and a negative mitzvah. The positive mitzvah is Shabbason Shabbos, you shall surely rest. And the negative mitzvah is Lo saseh malacha, thou shalt not do any malacha. Tanya Kavase de Rabbi Yochanan. We have a brisa that teaches in accordance with Rabbi Yochanan. Yom Kippurim shechali yos b'Shabbos. If Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos, mutar b'knivas yerek, that you are allowed to prepare these vegetables. V'amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba also taught in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Yom Kippurim shechali yos b'chol. If Yom Kippur falls during the week, maftzin be'egozin, then you're allowed to crack nuts. And mefarchasin kippurim, you're allowed to peel pomegranates min hamincha ulamala. As we said, at the later stage in the day, you're allowed to prepare certain foods for after Yom Kippur b'nei agmas nefesh, because of the pain that you would endure from having to do this during a fast, from the pain that you would endure from having to wait even more time after the fast has ended to be able to prepare your food. So therefore, we are allowed to prepare foods or certain types of foods towards the end of Yom Kippur. Devei Rav Yehuda Mikam Karva, the house of Rabbi Yehuda would trim cabbages. Devei Rabba, the house of Rabba, Gardi Kari, they would carve pumpkins. However, Kevan Dechaz Dahavu Kamacharfi, but once Rabba saw that they were starting to do this too early in the day on Yom Kippur, Amalahu Asa Igar Samama Rabba Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan the Asur. So he actually said to the members of his household, "Oh, I've just received a letter from Rabbi Yochanan that actually this is prohibited." Meaning that he was concerned that if he said it himself, the people in his house wouldn't listen to him. Therefore, he invoked a higher name of Rabbi Yochanan so that they would stop doing this too early in the day, and in so doing, they avoided any potential violations. Hadron alach ve'elu kasharim, hadron alach ve'elu kasharim, hadron alach ve'elu kasharim. Mazel tov, everybody, on finishing the 15th chapter of Masechet Shabbos. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
And that is all for today, folks. Have a wonderful, meaningful day, and we will see you again on our weekly Daf Yomi cast.